Determination of concentration of KMnO4 solution using ferrous ammonium sulfate. The process of titration is used to determine the strength of a given solution of potassium permanganate. In this titration, potassium permanganate solution of unknown concentration is titrated against a standard solution of ferrous ammonium sulfate, also known as Mohr salt. The reaction that takes place during the titration is a redox reaction in which permanganate ion of potassium permanganate is reduced to Mn2 positive ion in the presence of acid, and ferrous ion of Mohr salt is oxidized to ferric ion. The potassium permanganate solution is added drop by drop until the point that the permanent pink color is seen. This is called the end point. Our aim is to determine the strength of a given potassium permanganate solution by titrating it against a standard solution of Mohr salt. Materials required: 250 ml conical flask, 250 ml standard flask, Mohr salt crystals, 250 ml beaker, distilled water, funnel, weighing bottle, electronic balance, dilute sulfuric acid, concentrated sulfuric acid, potassium permanganate solution, burette, burette stand, 20 ml pipette, test tube, spatula, glass rod, dropper, measuring jar. Procedure: preparation of 250 ml 0.05 molar standard solution of Mohr salt. The weight of a solute required to prepare a standard solution is equal to molarity of the solution into molecular mass of the solute into volume of the solution in liters. Here, molarity of the solution is 0.05 molar. Molecular mass of the solute, Mohr salt, is 392 grams per mole. Volume of the solution is equal to 250 ml, that is equal to 0.25 liters. Therefore, the weight of Mohr salt required is equal to 0.05 into 392 into 0.25 equal to 4.9 grams. Place the weighing bottle on the electronic balance and tar the balance. Using a spatula, take Mohr salt and weigh about 4.9 grams. Transfer the weighed quantity of Mohr salt into the 250 ml beaker. Now measure 5 ml concentrated sulfuric acid in a measuring jar and pour this into the beaker. Wash the weighing bottle 2 or 3 times with distilled water to transfer the particles sticking to it into the beaker. Gently stir the solution in the beaker using the glass rod to dissolve the Mohr salt crystals. Use the funnel and the glass rod to transfer the solution from the beaker into the 250 ml standard flask. Wash the beaker, glass rod, funnel and funnel tip 2 or 3 times with distilled water to transfer the solution sticking into the standard flask. Pour distilled water into the standard flask to bring the level of the solution to just below the etched mark. Then use a dropper to add the last few drops of distilled water so that the lower level of the meniscus just touches the mark on the flask. To ensure uniform distribution of the Mohr salt solution, stopper the flask and shake it gently. We have now prepared a Mohr salt solution whose molarity is 0.05 molar. Determination of strength of potassium permanganate using standard solution of Mohr salt. Take the burette, rinse it with distilled water and drain the water. Repeat this process 2 or 3 times to drain out the impurities from the burette. Let us then pour a small volume of potassium permanganate solution into the burette through a funnel. Rinse the burette and drain out the solution. Repeat this process 2 or 3 times to remove any moisture inside the burette. Use the funnel to fill the burette with potassium permanganate solution to just about the 0 mark. Place a beaker below the burette and slowly open the stop cork so that the potassium permanganate flows into the beaker. Then set the initial burette reading as 0. Take the 20 ml pipette out a small volume of distilled water. Rinse it and drain the water. Repeat this process 2 or 3 times to remove the impurities from the pipette. Pipette out a small volume of Mohr salt solution. Rinse the pipette and drain it. Repeat this process 2 or 3 times to remove any moisture inside the pipette. Pipette out 20 ml of Mohr salt solution from the standard flask. To do this, first pipette out the solution until the level is just above the calibration mark, then close the upper end of the pipette with the index finger and slowly release the finger, bringing the level of the solution lower. Transfer the Mohr salt solution into the clean conical flask and touch the tip of the pipette to the bottom of the conical flask to transfer the remaining solution. Now add about 20 ml, which is a test tube full of dilute sulfuric acid, to the Mohr salt solution in the conical flask. Place the conical flask on the white surface of the stand under the burette. Titrate the solution in the conical flask against the potassium permanganate solution from the burette. Keep rotating the conical flask during the titration and stop the titration when the solution turns to a light pink color. This is the end point. Note down the final burette reading and repeat the titration until concordant values are obtained.